105. So welcome everyone to our second in our Connecting Together on Seniors Isolation series. We're excited today to be joined by our presenters and panelists. On behalf of the planning team, I want to welcome all of you. Just a few items before we get started. Again, we are recording this session and the recordings will be sent out following the presentations, as will an evaluation. If you could please take a couple of moments to fill out that evaluation, would be much appreciated as we continue on with our series. A reminder to reduce your background noise. Please try to keep on mute unless you have a question. Again, for questions, you can use the chat, raise your hand, or unmute yourself. Again, in terms of questions, we are having a panel style presentation today, so the question and answer will be following the three presentations. Today's theme is we are going to be discussing some successful initiatives that have taken place over the course of the past year or so. And we're excited to get started on those. So please join me in welcoming Anna Indrizzi from the Region of Peel, who will be the moderator for today's session. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much, Heidi. We'd like to start our session this afternoon with a land acknowledgement. So we would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we work, that we know as the Region of Peel, is part of the treaty lands and the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous people inhabited and cared for this land. And in particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe Bay, the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe Chippewas people. The land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississauga of the Credit. We are grateful to have this opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, we give our deepest respects to its first inhabitants. If you'd like to learn more about the Indigenous peoples, please visit native-land.ca and mncfn.ca to learn more. Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome our panelists for this afternoon's session. Our first panelists are Karin Archer-Myles from Nucleus Independent Living and Kimberly Martinez, Central Registry Activity Kits. Karin is the Communications and Implementation Corporate Planning Lead at Nucleus Independent Living. She's passionate about people and about making a difference that advances an organization's purpose. She is a strong advocate for the change management, quality improvement, and she believes that no challenge is insurmountable. Kimberly is a manager of Central Registry, and she has devoted her work career to supporting seniors, encompassing a holistic client-centered approach to aging at home. The new opportunities with Nucleus Independent Living explore innovative ideas in addressing the needs of the population they serve. This project has reinforced the value of face-to-face contact and how reciprocal the interaction can be. So Nucleus Independent Living undertook a 3-month pilot initiative to distribute activity kits to their most vulnerable clients. The new opportunities with Nucleus Independent Living explores innovative ideas in addressing the needs of the population served at the Central Registry. At this time, I'd like to welcome Karin and Kimberly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. I wasn't sure if you guys were going to be pulling up the slides for us or if you wanted me to share my screen.
You have to present well now, Karin.
Okay. All right. Let me just pull it up. Sorry about that. Okay. I have never used this technology. I'm going to share my content. There we go. Okay. Can everybody see that okay?
It looks great. If you just
great. Okay. Great. That was easier than I thought. So we're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us. We're going to be going over an overview of this pilot project, walking you through our implementation plan, our results, the impact that this have on our staff and our clients, and then some lessons learned about the kits themselves as well as implementation. So we undertook this pilot project between January and April 2021. Still have to correct myself that we're already in 2021, even though we're many months in. So these kits included a broad range of items that included crossword puzzles, coloring books, armbands, brain teasers, strength training exercises, and fine motor skills. And I developed to be used independently in our clients' homes. So the real goal of this initiative was to engage our most isolated clients, those who had a very limited social network, lived by themselves, and we wanted to stimulate them both mentally and physically. So these kits were developed and put together by Seniors Life Enhancement Center, SLEC, who generously reached out to us and thought that we could partner and to help distribute these kits to our clients. We both felt that there would be a very positive impact to both our clients, especially during the pandemic, as well as our staff, who would be given kind of a unique opportunity to visit and engage with them. And as you'll see in the results, that is what came to life. In total, we had 52 clients involved in this pilot. The kits were replenished on a monthly basis, and we had a pre and post evaluation that we're very happy with. In terms of our implementation plan, we really first looked at, some of the task timelines and leads of who would be doing some of this work. We determined that our supervisors and care coordinators were kind of our core staff to get out, engage with our clients, and participate, or at least orient them to the kits initially. Their first visit was about delivering the kit, doing a bit of a demonstration of some of the items, more around orientation, and really another key piece to this part was getting them to sign a waiver, as there are some physical activity components. In terms of the follow-up, those were scheduled on a need basis, typically monthly, and also our clients had the ability to provide feedback ongoing. If they wanted to have more items of one thing and not another, we could do that, and we did do that. And we made sure that these were incorporated as additional visits to their schedule. Next was the training. So SLEC was phenomenal, not only at putting these kits together, but also conducting the training with their staff and our staff. They shared an unboxing video and also went through ways in which our staff can engage with our clients around some of these items. There was question and answers, obviously, during the session, but even after, SLEC kind of had an open door policy that if we had any questions that came up along the way, not only for our own staff, but for our clients, that door was open. Communication was also a really big key to this. We made sure that there was pretty robust internal communication so that our staff were very aware of this. Even if our frontline attendants were not the ones delivering the kits, we knew that they could get questions around them. We wanted them to know what they were, why they were in the home, and even how they could engage in them. We had some key internal weekly meetings with more of the planning group, and we also have a weekly newsletter where we kind of kept updates around the activity kits just to keep the momentum going and excitement. We also had communication for our consumers that were presented with the kits. And then evaluation, we made sure that this was built in right away before we even started going. So that first initial visit with our clients asked some pre-questions around their levels of anxiety, depression, questions around boredom, and loneliness and isolation. And then we obviously had ongoing feedback all the time. We developed a centralized Excel document, which all of our staff contributed to. So we had one centralized way to always have all the information and know what was working, what wasn't working. And I'll pass it over to Kimberly.
Yeah, so these were really the results that we found out in regards to the anxiety. 20% actually increased in having no feelings or anxiety or depression between the start of the isolation kit to the end of the pilot project. It is difficult to correlate based on the numbers alone if it was solely due to the activity kits. However, it's reassuring to see such a significant drop. There was a 3% reduction in reports of having some feelings of anxiety or depression, and there was a 16% reduction in reports of having a lot of feeling of anxiety or depression. So these were very powerful results. In regards to the boredom, consumers reported a 25% increase of having no feelings of boredom between the start of the kits to the end, and there was also a 11% reduction in having some feelings of boredom, as well as a 14% reduction of having a lot of feelings of boredom. So again, all reduced. In regards to results for loneliness and isolation, there was at least an amount of change in the third pre or post questions around the feelings of isolation and loneliness. And this may be a result of some consumers being our most isolated and of everyone within our roster, which is why they were selected in the first place. There was only like a 1% decrease, if not isolated, lonely, and a 4% increase to somewhat, and 4% decrease to very. So that one in itself was a little bit difficult to find some correlation. And here are some of the feedback that we got from the kits. One of the kits, really the feedback was really a client who really was refusing support and for well over a month because she didn't feel comfortable. And then once the kits had been delivered, as she started to accept the staff, they were able to start small, engage with her with the activity kits, and then also be able to deliver that service delivery part of our support. Now the family is no longer worried about accepting care, and the kit had been a nice bridge between client and their caregivers. So really in regards to our lessons learned, human connection, that's really is preferred visits over the activities, but obviously they're always redirected back to those activities. We found that really less is more. Too many activities can be very overwhelming, and most people really wanted to complete the activities. They'd like to start and continue as they mean to go on. We also found that this generation was really, of not wanting to waste or taking more that was needed. And this was really reflected in this group. Wherever possible, we try to personalize the kit based on the consumer's ability or disability, and really want to maybe include more of a PSW attendant role in making those establish connection and implementation of those kits. We really do feel that we'd like to, include more senior couples, because even though that there is two persons in a home, at that point in their life, they sort of are living kind of a little bit independent and can feel that loneliness within the household. So really, in this time period, it really has been quite a challenge to get everybody on the same page, due to the current climate. There really seemed to be, a little bit of twofold in regards to, implementing a socialization of a pilot project that would increase time spent in the home on social engagement activities and not on essential care. They just felt a little bit uncomfortable of asking PSWs to spend more time into the home, completing those social activities, as opposed to that personal care. But this was partly due to limiting staffing capacity, where consumer service plans were being revised. We really had to look at the whole organization on where the needs of the attendant services is required. But additional time was spent with staff to ensure that they understand how increased social engagements will improve health outcomes of the isolated individuals, and therefore sort of then regrouping and putting that time with the attendants with their clients. I mean, communication really is the main piece. The relationship between, everybody needs to be on board. We really need to make sure that everybody understands why we're doing this sort of activity, and then also be available for any of those questions to help kind of guide them and promote the enthusiasm that we really know that these kids really trigger for the staff and for their clients. In regards to the next steps, really. I think that really the next steps are really the quarterly kits. We would like to customize them based on the needs and the preference of the abilities. Perhaps maybe a little bit more doing a little bit more deeper dive onto their profile, and then just to coordinate a little bit more with the PSW visit for personal care and really embed that into that regular operations to help strengthen relationships between the coordinators, PSWs, and the staff.
And that's it for us.
Thank you very much, Karin, and thank you very much, Kimberly. I know you will remain with us for the panel discussion at the end, so thank you again. I'll just wait for our screen to go back, and we'll introduce our next panelists. Thank you. So our next panelists includes Allyson Mitchell from the region of Peel, Sheridan Villa, Adult Day Service and Community Services, Brandee Elliot from Alberta Health Services, and Ruby May Malixi from the region of Peel, Sheridan Villa, Adult Day Service and Community Services. So Allyson Mitchell is with the region of Peel at Sheridan Villa. She's the supervisor of the Adult Day Service and Community Services there. She believes that creating an environment that is friendly, familiar, and loving for those that attend the day program is of the highest importance. When faced with a question, how do you do that virtually? Allyson found Go the Distance, the program based in Alberta. And through collaboration and innovation, she has successfully implemented virtual recreation for the people who attend the 5 adult day programs within the region of Peel, or in the region of Peel. Brandee Elliot is with the Alberta Health Services. Her main role is the management and facilitation of the adult day programs. When COVID-19 closed these programs in Alberta, she co-created a program called Go the Distance. It is a therapeutic recreation program that provides social and cognitive interventions through methods of phone and video conferencing. Her main focus is establishing quality, evidence-based programming through collaborative practice. And Ruby is an adult day service assistant with the region of Peel at Sheridan Villa. Ruby will be presenting one of the virtual programs that the team there created. Thank you, Allyson, Brandee, and Ruby May. Welcome.
Thank you. And can I just make sure that Ruby has the presenter privilege?
Next slide, then he'll know to move forward.
Perfect. And I'm going to pass it over to Brandee.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. Coming in all the way from, I'd like to say sunny Alberta, but it is pouring rain here today. Thank you. We're going to just get started with a little bit of a video. Our first slide here, is a video. It gives you a little bit of background about the Go the Distance program, and then I will talk a little bit more about the program before passing it on to Allyson.
It's the highlight of the week. It gets me out of the house. I'm excited about it. Mentally, you deteriorate fast if you're not involved and you're not active.
I just felt like we needed to do more for our clients. Go the Distance is a recreation therapy program that focuses on social and cognitive activities for our day program clients and home care clients. We use the phone and video conferencing to connect with our clients.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Gordon.
We started with phone interventions or phone calls, and we quickly moved to one-to-one video conferencing sessions, and then went into some group video conferencing. These activities include things like trivia, name that tune, reminisce programs.
This keeps you positive and upbeat. So we're really excited about that there, getting up and doing some trivia and trying to show them that you know more than they do. Doesn't always work, but we give it a shot.
So important for our seniors and members of our community to keep connected. Our clients are already sometimes quite isolated, and that's where our day program comes in and bringing people together and connecting them socially. With that closure, it's really important that we maintain some sort of social connection with our clients. They find that the activities stimulate their brain, keep them thinking, and above all, they tell us it makes them still feel connected to the program.
It's going to happen, and the doors are going to open again, and everything is going back to normal. It's just a matter of time, and in the meantime, we found a way to around that there. Just stay connected with your people and phone them once in a while and just see. We can sure make a difference in people's lives, just cheer them up.
Together, we do amazing things every day.
Excellent. Well, that video actually came out May 2020. So you'll see some statistics today shared that look a little different than that. So what is Go the Distance? It's a rec therapy program, and we use cognitive and social interventions or activities through the phone and also through Zoom. It was created because of that closure of the adult day program, and we really focused on adult day program clients and home care clients. We had three main goals when we created the program. So myself and a colleague, Sabrina Ball, co-created the program. So our main goal was to increase positive mood pre and post intervention based on our mood scale, which I will show you. We wanted to maintain or improve socialization for our clients, and we wanted to provide some cognitive stimulation for them as well. Next. So we created some outcome measures. The outcome measures really had to be simplistic in that they could be described over the phone. They had to be quick enough that it wouldn't take the whole activity time allotted. And we would complete the mood scale at the very beginning of the session and then at the very end of the session to see if there had been any improvement. And the socialization and cognitive questions we ask at the end of the session. Next. This is an example of our questionnaire. So Go the Distance uses this questionnaire to ask our clients these questions, each intervention, each activity. So you can see the mood scale there. It's a 5-point mood scale and pretty simplistic in terms of language used. Initially, I had it a lot more complicated, but we really need to simplify it so that our clients could understand it easily over the phone or over Zoom. Next. So this slide here is just showing some of the benefits that we've seen last year of socialization. So that question one. So we started the program in March, and oh, I think someone's unmuted there. So you can see that the different that we were quite high along clients identifying that the program helped them with their socialization. And this is each month, and we started with 3 programs, and we've expanded up to at one point we were in the 50s. We're now down to about 36 programs that are running Go the Distance. We can go on to the next slide, please. So overall, for the whole year of 2020, for all programs involved in every single intervention, we did track all those results and all those outcomes. And we determined that 92% of all the clients believed that the program enhanced their socialization. 93% of clients believed it provided them with some cognitive stimulation. We've seen an average pre-mood score of 3.19 out of 5 and a post-mood score of 3.93. That's about an average mood improvement of 15%. And Go the Distance program tracked all of our intervention minutes, and across Canada, we contributed to about 10,000 hours of cognitive and social interventions for our clients. And like I spoke that we started with 3 programs, my 3 programs in rural Alberta, and it quickly expanded and spread. In the video, it talked about 16 other programs. That was last May. Current to date, we're about 36, and I know we have a couple more coming on board as well. I'm going to let Allyson now speak about our collaboration between Alberta and Ontario.
Thanks, Brandee. Yeah, the Region Appeal 5 Adult Day programs joined the Go the Distance in August of 2020. And if I could get you to change the slide, please. So as the pandemic stretched on, we needed to consider how to provide services to our seniors in a different way. Our teams had been redeployed to support long-term care in March of 2020, and it was time to start to bring them back to the adult day service. We knew that the other day programs in the area were providing virtual recreation services to their participants, but we really didn't know where to start. So I Googled virtual adult day programs and found the video that Brandee has just shared with you. It was a yes moment, and I knew I needed to reach out to Brandee for support. Brandee was really receptive to the Region of Appeal's 5 Adult Day services, joining the Go the Distance group of service providers, and we started up in August of 2020, as I said. So our adult days, actually, same slide, please. Our adult day service programs are grounded in person-centered care, where emotional-based care is embedded in all that we do. Feelings matter most. We strive to create a day full of connection and meaningful interactions, a place that feels good and where people want to come back. The question was, how do we create that in a virtual environment? You'll see by the end of our presentation that we have been very successful in doing so. Oops, sorry, got my notes flying on me here. The Go the Distance facilitator training got us going. A few staff from each of our centers were trained as champions who could then train and support other team members as they return from long-term care. Providing recreation virtually is certainly not what our team members went to school for, nor is it something that we are doing prior to the pandemic. Since the start of the pandemic, our coordinators and social workers have been providing wellness checks and social work support to all of our participants. We knew that these calls were greatly appreciated and very beneficial. It was now time for our day program assistants to reach out to our folks to reconnect with them, to reestablish therapeutic relationships and begin to introduce recreation interventions. Calls were made to confirm likes, interests, life stories, hobbies, and capabilities, and the team began developing personalized recreation care plans for each participant. Next slide. So these recreation care plans included, oops, my computer is going wonky, so bear with me, my apologies. And I'm not well enough versed to do it ad lib. My nerves are too great. I'm going to just bear with me for 1 second, and I'm going to. I don't have a printer at home, or I would have printed my notes. Okay. So these recreation care plans include, oh my goodness. These, it's jumping on me. I apologize, folks.
No problem. Take your time. In the meantime, I'll read out a couple comments that have come forward. So Amy commented, "It's an awesome way to gain some quick feedback. Love the idea of a pre and post mood measure."
You know what? I am one that never has these issues, or very rarely. And this one, you know, of all days. Maybe I'll try to make it smaller. Does anybody have any suggestions? It's just a Word document, but my mouse is going crazy. Okay.
If you're trying to make it smaller, you can just push that control button and the minus that's up beside the backspace on your keyboard, and you can make the font smaller. That might bring it all onto one page.
Allyson, it may also be a wireless mouse. Do you have one with a cord?
No, I do have one with a cord. That's why this is crazy. Okay, let's see. Okay, I can't move my screen. Okay, stay.
Allyson, do you want to have one of your co-presenters continue while you're?
I don't know that they'd be able to. That's unfortunate. We kind of split things up.
Someone just suggested, actually, if you can just close out of it, Allyson, and then maybe try to reload it.
Okay,
and we'll see how that reloads.
Okay.
Allyson, maybe while you're doing that, I could just speak a little bit about the platform. I see here on your slide you have internet and Zoom. So that is the main platform that we are using is Zoom, and that's also because Alberta Health Services purchased a professional grade health grade encryption on it, and so we are using that, and we have been since about April. And so part of our facilitator training is to actually support programs in how they can get their clients up on board on Zoom, how they can get their staff, how they can get the resources so that they can provide these interactive activities through the platform.
Ruby, can I get you, thank you for that, Brandee. And Ruby, can I get you to, Ruby's going to highlight one of the programs. And so it was to be the end, but I think it's fine to bring it in now. And that'll help me, just give me a moment to try to figure this out.
Advance to a particular slide, Ruby?
Sorry?
Do you want me to advance to a particular slide, Ruby?
Oh, yes, please. It should be slide number 14, please. Are we able to make it? Okay, thank you. Okay, so hi, I'm Ruby from Sheridan Villa, and I'm one of the assistants. And the program that we will be sharing with you today called Picture the Song, and clients will have to guess the title of a song using the clues that we provided. So there's 2 clues, and the first clue is a picture that hints to the song. And then if they don't get the answer, then we show them the second clue, which is the first word in the title. After that, once the answer is revealed, there's another slide that shows an interesting fact about the song or the artist, and we can discuss and reminisce about that. And then, so then after that portion, we go into the sing-along. And this program is, it's a nice mixture of trivia, discussion, and music. And it can be played in a group or in one-to-one. And with one-to-ones, you can really customize the slides to fit your client's interests and skills. So for example, eliminating the trivia portion for someone who is lower functioning, or if you know that someone likes a particular type of music, like country, then you can change the songs to that genre. And the goal of the program is not to see who can get the most answers right, and it's really about connecting with the clients and making them feel good. So we can do a little demo of the slide, the program. So if we can move to the next slide, please, so the next slide, please. That's perfect. Okay, so this is our first. We'll start with this one. And usually before we start the program, we do the scale that Brandee was talking about. So we'll ask the clients how they're feeling today. So 1 being depressed, 2 being sad, 3 being calm, 4 being happy, and 5 being elated. And then once they tell us how they're feeling, we move into the program. So maybe we can play a little game here. So this is the first clue, and it's a pretty popular song. this is your clue. If you want, you can write it in the chat box or have it in your head what you think the song is. Yeah. And so everyone's getting it. Yeah. So yeah, you guys got the right answer. So the answer is hound dog. So then again, if the clients don't get the answer from the picture, the second slide, you can move on to the second one, please. Yeah, so then as you can see, there's the first word in the title, and then that usually triggers a response. So then if you click to the next slide, yeah, it'll show us the hound dog. And then, yeah, perfect. And then here we have, again, the interesting fact about the artist or the song. So I'm not sure how many of you know this, but it wasn't Elvis that first sang the song. It was this woman right here, Big Mama Thornton. So that always gives us like a big reaction because we just always associate hound dog with Elvis. So I thought it was really nice. And then so after we talk about this slide, we move on to the sing-along, and we don't have to sing along, but we usually do that with the client. So, and that's our program, one of our programs.
And for the sake of time, I know Ruby's prepared 2 examples, but if I think I'm good to jump back in. Ruby, thank you so much for your demo. And if I can ask that we move back to the using technology slide, and I'm just going to continue on. So I was just talking about the recreation care plans that included activities and interventions that could be done over the phone. And that was a bit of a challenge, but you know, we could do trivia, sharing music, sing-along, travel logs, and current events, to name a few. It really required the team to think beyond what they knew and how to do and get very creative. We also checked in to see what technology and internet capabilities the participant had access to and looked at computer technology. And there certainly were some challenges, and we helped our participants navigate through them. The team worked with each participant to set them up on Zoom so that they could easily join in on chosen group programs and one-to-one interventions. Each of our centers has a mix of telephone and Zoom users. We are currently working on an iPad lending program, and this will help get more of our participants connected to Zoom to benefit from the visual aspects that the Zoom technology brings. Also had some challenges in and around PowerPoint. So delivering recreation opportunities to our participants through Zoom opened up a whole new learning curve to our team. They were now tasked with creating PowerPoint presentations that match the individualized recreation interests of the participants. We had wondered at the beginning of this journey, how would we be able to truly connect with our participants virtually? What we have discovered is that we've been able to connect even more with them. Focused one-to-one time allows for deeper conversations and the creation of personalized PowerPoint interventions. Zoom has invited us into their homes, and we are spending more time with family as they are supporting the participant in the Zoom programs. So the next slide is working collaboratively. So how were we able to do all of this? Well, we did it collaboratively. So since September, I've facilitated our virtual recreation collaboration group. And this virtual recreation team from all 5 of our regional PL Day program centers meets every Friday morning to share new learning, discuss challenges and successes, and showcase interventions that have been developed. We have utilized SharePoint for easy access to all the interventions and resources. The teams regularly connect with each other to help problem solve issues with Zoom and PowerPoint. And we recently created a PowerPoint and referencing toolkit as a quick resource to help team members. The teams have worked together to plan and implement virtual field trips, entertainment, birthday socials, and a week-long summer games coming up as part of our Seniors Month celebration. These programs are shared across all 5 centers. We have also started to connect virtually with people living in our long-term care centers. Today, they are together going to a farm on a field trip in Alberta. So they're heading your way today, Brandee. We also attend the monthly Go the Distance Facilitators meeting hosted by Brandee to share new learning, share successes and challenges, and to network with organizations in Alberta and British Columbia. This month, participants from these programs will be attending our laughter therapy session, and we will be attending a program hosted by Brandee's group. Next slide. So this is a dashboard picture, and it's I'd like to do just a quick highlight of 3 areas on this slide that reflect how Go the Distance program benefits the participants attending the Sheraton Villa Adult Day program. So the data is taken from March 1st to May 26th, and 94% of our participants reported an improvement in brain stimulation. 91% of participants reported an improvement in socialization, and pre and post mood scores improved from 3.32 to 4.27. On the next slide, also with the data range of March 1st to May 26th, highlights our virtual reach through wellness checks and recreation programs across our 5 adult day service sites. We have reached 97% of our participants for a total of 5,264 interventions to 247 participants in this 3-month time period. And that completes our presentation. Thank you for your patience. I have a great respect for my team who works virtually every day and probably runs into these problems. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Allyson, Brandee, and Ruby May. It was interesting watching the presentation. You know, we feel so isolated having to do all this virtually, but we're still so connected. Everyone jumps right in with an idea. Let's do this, try this. So it's great how our world seems small, but has yet really expanded to include so many partners in the community. Thank you very much to all of our 3 presenters. As soon as the slides come back up, we will present our last panelists. And then after that, please stay with us for our discussion period. We'll just wait another minute until the presentation comes up onto our screens. So it seems that there is a bit of a technical issue at this time, but not to delay any further. It's something in the hot weather today, I guess. I'd like to present our last 2 panelists. We have Christine Sevigny from Caledon Meals on Wheels and Matthew Strader from StaderEdge Media. Christine sees her role as Caledon's Meals on Wheels Executive Director as a way to help improve the lives of seniors and people with disabilities. Christine is committed to ensuring that all Caledon Meals on Wheels programs and services are accessible to community members, enabling them to live healthy, connected, and independent lives. Christine has a Master's of Social Work with a specialty in community development, and she has over 27 years of experience. Matthew founded StaderEdge Media in 2020. He has more than 15 years of experience in print journalism, and his various degrees and extensive traveling and life experiences impressed upon him the impact and relevance of quality communication. Working in community print and journalism, he recognizes the importance of providing quality communications at an affordable price to support nonprofit and small organizations. The Caledon Meals on Wheels Connection production is a perfect example of this collaboration. Caledon Meals on Wheels is in partnership, as I've said, with StaderEdge Media, and they've created a monthly print publication geared to the seniors who live in Caledon in an effort to ease the isolation and hardships caused by the pandemic. Welcome, Christine and Matthew. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I'm just going to share my slide. Hopefully that'll pop up. Awesome. Great. I think it should be. There we go. So thank you so much for having us. Our presentation is called When Old Becomes New Again, because it is about using an old medium, which we tend to forget in this age of the internet and virtual programming. So I'm Christine. I'm from Caledon Meals on Wheels, and as you can see, we provide a range of programs and services. So it's not just our traditional Meals on Wheels program, but we have a variety of other programs and services that help promote nutrition, wellness, and decrease or increase social interaction and decrease isolation. And we do serve more than Caledon. We actually do the surrounding areas, including Orangeville and some of the other areas as well. We do have one of our wellness groups out in Brampton as well.
Thank you, Christine, and just a thank you to all the organizers and all the participants. Really appreciate getting to present today. StaderEdge Media, Anna did such a great introduction job there. Just a small media company that I started after leaving Torstar Metroland last year. The purpose of the business is to be able to provide effective and most importantly, affordable communication to small businesses, charities, and service organizations. And my services, my specialties are freelance writing, print design and production, website management and production, social media, video editing, and a bit of media consultation and advice on projects for organizations.
So our project came out of a grant. We had recognized that we were reaching the people that were already using our services, but we weren't reaching the people who weren't using our services. And so we did apply for a grant. We received it. It was the Emergency Community Support Fund, and that came through the Community Foundations of Canada and then our local Brampton Caledon Community Foundation. And it was really about reaching out and informing seniors and people with disabilities and their caregivers about our programs and services that we could support them during the pandemic and hopefully beyond. And then as we kind of got into it a little bit, we realized it was a great opportunity to support other community organizations, not just ourselves, to help reach out and let our community know about what they offered. And so the four main components were, we did a mail out postcard. We had some focus on print media. We also had a little bit of social media as well. And then we obviously did some of the actual legwork of going out and door knocking and doing some outreach in the community. So, but our focus really is around the newspaper. So initially how we started is we kind of gathered, and this was in partnership with the town of Caledon, and Katie's on their seniors services. And we brought together a bunch of organizations and just to kind of talk about, you know, just networking and collaborating, but also what we could do with this project. And it was neat because at the time when I was speaking, I said, you know, we have this grant and we're going to hire somebody to do this outreach for us. Who should I get? Like, should we focus on somebody who does community work and community organizing and social work, or should we do something a little bit different and go with marketing or media professionals or advertising professionals? And everybody said, yeah, let's try not going down the usual route, but try to work with something a little bit different. And so we basically put out the posting, and we had Matthew and StaderEdge apply. And we've known Matthew for many, many years, as he's a big volunteer in our community and has done lots of great work for us. And so we hired him on. And the first thing that we did was got people warmed up. We involved a smaller group of these organizations to do our postcard. And so this was a print mail out that we did. It was mailed out to 25,000 households. We kept about 500 just to hand out in the future. And it was a nice way to kind of showcase. I think there's like over 12 organizations on that postcard. And we did actually people say like, oh, I got my postcard. And we hope that people have kept it since, because all those services are still around, obviously, and helping during and post pandemic. The next thing we thought we would do is we were going to do some advertising in our local print media. That's our Caledon newspapers. And it's very expensive, as you know, when you try to take out newspapers, and people kind of look at them and toss them away. And Matthew actually opened up our eyes to, hey, why don't you do your own newspaper? It'll probably take the same amount of money. And we were like, what? Are you kidding me? And so we decided to try it out. And we actually launched Caledon Meals on Wheels Connection newspaper. And so we knew that we needed something to get into the hands of people, right? We knew that those hard to reach people weren't necessarily, and from our experience, our clients as well, weren't accessing internet and other social media. And we wanted to try to have a further reach than we normally do with just advertising and promoting the typical ways that we do. And we knew that print media was still an important vehicle for people. And we wanted to kind of not just provide information and health promotion information about our organization, but we wanted to help alleviate boredom along the way. And so we worked with Matthew and we came up with the print production. So I'm going to turn it over to Matthew to give you a little bit of background on why this was an important step for us.
So yeah, Christine said it. The project, when we first started talking to Caledon Meals on Wheels, had a goal of reaching those who were not easily accessible. And so I knew from coming from the newspaper industry that one, readership numbers are steady and increasing. They are not declining. They're not a part of the industry that people like to say are dying. And the other thing is targeted medias are seeing an increased success. Sure, the high-level examples we come up with are the Golf Channel and the Food Network, but as soon as you target an audience, you give them something that's their own, you give them some ownership over it. As well, you become more attractive to potential advertisers, which was a long-term goal of ours because we knew this grant was going to run out. The other really important statistics to know are that Canada's senior population is growing. It's going to be the largest age demographic in the country, if it's not already. And the seniors community absolutely still demands print productions. This is anecdotal as well as analytically driven from the print industry. The seniors still want newspapers. They still come and get them. And by creating one that was for the seniors community, then we give them something that's theirs. Oh, I kind of went into those. You can keep going, Christine. So we started with a 16-page production. 2,500 issues were printed. That was limited a little bit because of coronavirus, but we wanted to start small to see how it would go. The other thing that CMO did, which I have to give credit to the executives, is they did not make this about themselves. While CMO is the lead in the production, of course, they wanted to feature other community organizations and services and really become a valuable resource for seniors in the town, giving them the information, the resources that they needed each month, as well as an entertainment piece. So we designed crossword and puzzle pages, book reviews, clubs for them to join. We have recipe pages, historical pieces, community profiles. The entire edition is very readable.
So we had a few things that helped us kind of get this off the ground. Obviously, it was partially supported by the grant, but not entirely. We did have to kick in a little bit of our own outreach and marketing budget to kind of subsidize the production. We obviously relied on Matthew and StaderEdge for the content and design of the issue, and even some of the ideas that went into, like, what are we going to feature each month. And then we really needed the in-kind support from our own staff team, our community partners, our volunteers, just to help kind of coordinate and distribute and give us ideas for content and feedback. So it was really important that we had our staff team and our community on board with us when we did this.
So as far as getting it out into the community, StaderEdge took on the distribution ourselves. We thought it was very important for this to be hand delivered. We didn't want this to be kind of at the end of driveways or in post office boxes. And I don't mean that as a shot at all to community newspapers. So we did at the door delivery, and we started with a focus, of course, because this was launched during the pandemic, on where we thought seniors would be in safe spaces where they could receive it. We started with pharmacies, retail locations like that, long-term care homes, senior residences, places where we knew they would need entertainment pieces, medical clinics for waiting rooms, and then distribution just started to kind of blow up on us. We now have the Headwaters Healthcare Network taking hundreds of editions a month and distributing amongst all their facilities and clinics. Just this past month, we had 6 new seniors residences and home reach out to us unsolicited and provide addresses for drop-offs. And our distribution network just continues to grow every month, as well as CMO distributes it in hand to all of their clients and their program participants, with CMO volunteers delivering 2 editions to each meal client so that they receive one and then they have one for family or friends.
So our indicators of success and why we, our excitement for this project kept getting bigger and bigger is that we kept getting really great positive feedback from the recipients of the paper. We are really proud that we've been able to support 24 community and health organizations promoting their programs and services without any charge to them. And we've actually had excellent uptake from our local businesses to assist with the distribution. They're making rooms on their newspaper racks. They're handing them out when people are picking up their prescriptions. And they've been really helpful. Even our other healthcare providers in the community are helping to distribute to their clients. And the fact that we're getting more and more requests for distribution, as Matthew said, is one of our successes.
So today we're looking at a 20-page issue each month, simply because we made a couple decisions with the CMO executives, which again, I have to give them credit for allowing us to think outside the box. When the grant ended, the funding for the printing of this edition ended. We had a quick meeting because of the community success that we saw, the anecdotal response we were getting from readers, the increased demand for distribution that we were seeing, and businesses and really managers of seniors residents telling us that they couldn't keep it. So, of course, we needed to create revenue streams in order for it to survive. So we made the decision to start soliciting advertising within it from other service providers, from organizations, governments, places where seniors would get valuable resources as well. We made the decision to increase it to 20 pages, so we are not sacrificing any editorial. This is meant to be an entertaining and readable edition. And then CMO executives, Christine, if you don't mind going to the next page, allowed us to do some entertaining things with the advertising. Instead of we do offer straight direct impression advertising if someone has a resource or a phone number they need to get out there, but we also offer sponsored pages, which allow our advertisers to tell a story instead of just do a straight ad. It continues to make the edition more readable throughout. We didn't want sort of the stop and go of direct impression advertising throughout the edition. And then as well, with a lot of our interviews and stories that we've done within the edition, because the technology is simply there, instead of just doing straight tape recorder interviews and things like that with everyone, we started doing some video interviews with everyone. This allows me to quickly edit and cut together short videos for each of the service providers and community partners that we featured. It allows CMO then to use those videos for their own online portals, their own social media and website, and it allows us to share those videos with the partners that we interview so that they can use them themselves. I believe we have a short example on the next slide, just of one of the first videos that we did with an interviewee.
Yeah, and just to also say that we also post the content of the newspaper on our website. And we also give the content to our social media folks to post for articles as well. So we understand that, there's probably caregivers and there are some seniors who do use social media. And so we make it available that way as well. And so here's a sample that Matthew was talking about. This is one of the interviews we did very early on for an article in the paper. And Matthew made a really nice video about it as well for the organization.
We know that research tells us that we will all suffer at least one traumatic event in our lives, minimum one. And that's a sad truth. And, we can't change that stat, but our job is to ensure that when it does happen, the people experiencing do not have to be alone. That's really our role, to be that witness, to be that rock, to just be there for someone as they're going through something.
So that was just one of we picked that one because it was actually really short. we could squeeze it in, but also to help promote their services. And so the lessons learned that we have is that obviously it became, you know, as the lockdowns came and went and got stricter and less stricter, it was a little bit challenging to find some sites or locations to distribute, and some sites could do it for a little while and then couldn't. And then we had some like doctors' offices and walk-in clinics who didn't want anything that could be handled in their waiting rooms. So we did have some challenges at the beginning to find those places. And we did have to really find a balance between information and entertainment, because we didn't want it to be just kind of a boring brochure-like kind of paper. So we did include some of the fun things, and in fact that's what we get the most comments about. People really enjoy that piece. And that collaboration with our community partners was really key. And then that includes our for-profit sector as well. We have some really great for-profit companies who do home care and that kind of thing, who've been really supportive and now have actually helped us continue to make this paper sustainable, because they're actually taking out ads in the paper now, as well as helping us to continue to distribute it to their clients. It is hard to measure impact. We really don't know kind of like, you know, exactly how many referrals we're getting as a result of the paper. It tends to be more anecdotal. But we think though, with the consistent distribution of the paper, it probably will have long-term impact through drip marketing. The more people see about our services or other people's services, when time comes that they do need it, they'll have a place that they can call. The consistency is really important, and so we have very strict deadlines, and we have it kind of out on the shelf at the exact same time each month, because it does create an expectation in the community. I know Matthew has talked about, like, you know, people calling him up and saying, when's it coming? Like my shelves are empty and people are asking for it. So you have to make sure you can stick to a schedule. And one of the things we haven't been able to do yet, and I know in the chat I saw, you know, people asking about ways to reach out to folks who maybe have low literacy levels or who don't speak or read English, or even people who have a visual or cognitive disability. We haven't kind of figured out how to use this tool yet to support them. But anyways, we're something to kind of work on over the upcoming year. And here's a few more samples. I know we were kind of littering them throughout the presentation so you could kind of see the style and the content. And I know questions are going to be opened up to the floor soon. So on behalf of Matthew and myself, thank you for giving us a few moments to share our project with you.
Yeah, thank you to everyone.
Thank you again, Christine and Matthew. And you're right, now is our question period. So if anyone has questions for any of our panelists this afternoon, for Karin or Kimberly and Brandee and Allyson and Christine and Matthew, please feel free to type it into the chat box or take yourself off of mute.
So there was one question in the chat earlier, and there's been some discussion about it, but regarding internet in the home, iPad borrowing and to participate. So do you lend out the iPads or provide internet connection?
So this is a program that we're just currently in development at the Region of Peel, and it will be a lending program. So the iPad can be like signed out like a library book. We haven't quite figured out all of the internet or data share components, but we're working on that. And hopefully it'll be up and coming soon.
Thank you, Allyson. Here's another question in the chat box. Someone would like to hear from Brandee on thoughts of how Go the Distance will continue with the reopening of the day program. Perhaps Alberta clients are fortunate and the programs have already been reopened. So does anyone have a plan for when your program should reopen in person? What will you do with your virtual programs?
Yeah, great question. Actually, we are in process of figuring out our relaunch right now, and we will be running a hybrid program for quite a period of time until we're 100% back in person. So we will be continuing with Go the Distance, as well as bringing some clients back on a much capacity reduced period, and that'll be in the summer as well. We're also working on Go the Distance 2.0 version, Sabrina, my colleague, and myself, and we are, this is going to be a 6-week therapeutic program where we're using the same interventions that are used in Go the Distance, but we have a little bit more validated assessment tools that we're going to be using. We're going to be also kind of expanding a little bit more on leisure education to help them kind of stay connected in community, things like that. So that is just in the works right now, and then that'll be a way that we will be able to manage our waitlist as well, as we have clients come on our waitlist for adult day program. Sometimes by the time they actually get into the program, they're no longer interested. But in this way, we're going to connect right away and do virtual programming with them while they're on the wait list. And hopefully we can build that one-to-one rapport and connection so that they will be successful in program. We also see quite a few clients who don't, at this point, they don't want to go back into in-person. We're actually polling our clients right now, and they're really wanting to stay virtual, majority at this point. And they, or they have barriers, maybe they physically deconditioned throughout this last, 20 months, that they're not going to be unable to come back in person and things like that. So there is always, in my mind, we will always continue with some level of virtual practice. It's just the amount that may change and the clients who will be identified to be using the virtual component.
Thank you, Brandee. We have some other questions here in the chat. Do you have virtual program plans, lesson plans that you can share?
We use Dropbox, and it's a group share for all Go the Distance facilitators with all the resources. So there are, specific program plans, there are intervention guides, and then there's also all the interventions, so that it's a large share, and all facilitators contribute to that, and then they're shared across Canada. So we do have that, but we don't just open that up. We're only sharing with facilitators, and at this point in time, we're not bringing in any more facilitators at this point in time because we're just so busy with our caseload and also supporting all the facilitators we have at the current moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brandee. We have a question here for Caledon Meals on Wheels. I think this may have been answered in the presentation, but the question is, what is your mode of distributing your monthly publications to your most isolated and vulnerable clients? I think, Matthew, you may have touched on this. If you wouldn't mind to repeat the answer.
Sure, I apologize. I just muted myself for some background noise there. I've got family going to school in the floor below me. I actually handle distribution for Caledon Meals on Wheels Connection. That was a decision we made. One, we wanted to have it hand delivered in the first 6 months of it, especially while it was produced by the grant. And two, as we built the distribution network, we wanted to have a consistent face, going to each place, introducing it each month, handing it off to each person so they saw the same person, simply because of the ongoing pandemic. We didn't want to have different people going every month, but we have Meals on Wheels works with me that after the pandemic, we're going to set up that volunteer drivers will be taking some additions to some places. I've basically set up the distribution network so everybody knows that you're coming, knows when to expect you, and then we're going to incorporate some volunteer drivers into some of the distribution.
And further to what Matthew was saying is that you don't even actually, it's hard because you don't know where the isolated people are, right? So we're trying to distribute the paper in different places in different ways. People could live in a congregate setting like a retirement home or a long-term care facility and still be or feel very isolated. And so we're hoping that wherever this paper makes its way to, whether it's a seniors retirement home or it's the pharmacist or hopefully in the doctor's offices, that those people will pick it up and have access to it. But right now it's or it's even referrals from our community partners, right? If they know of places that their clients may go. So yeah, it is challenging, and that's part of the problem with reaching isolated people, is that they're isolated and they're often hidden.
I should have touched on too that we've made some partnerships in the distribution network in order to get to more isolated places. We've reached out to some village associations, residents associations, and things like that that help to distribute it in the smaller villages. Caledon's quite a unique physical place in that it's a large geographic area dotted with a lot of small villages. So those partnerships have been really beneficial.
Thank you. We have a question here for all of the panelists. Given that you get almost immediate feedback from clients and stakeholders, how important is formal evaluation data? Also, have you modified your programs based on your early feedback? So this is for all panelists. If any of you have collected any formal evaluation data, and have you used any feedback to move your programs forward?
I can take that first, Karin from Nucleus. I would say the data was almost everything. It was presented to our leadership team and as well as going to our board, and is going to be kind of the impetus that gets the funding to see this initiative through to the next fiscal year.
And I think I can also add, like with the Go the Distance program, we are collecting data on how the program impacts the person. And that quality of life improvement that we're seeing. So that data can certainly be used and will be used for future funding initiatives. When the question in regards to, have we modified the program? And I think, yeah, there's been probably a continual modification from day one, because our programs are client-centered. We've had to modify to meet the needs of the person. So if the person has a hearing impairment or a sight impairment, if the person, for whatever reason, has dementia. So this is something that we're working hard on right now, is creating PowerPoint experiences and PowerPoint interventions for folks that are further along in their dementia journey. So it's a continual modification to meet the needs of the person.
And the Go the Distance program was highly modified in the very first 2 weeks that it was implemented. So we worked every day as a team within my therapy assistants and myself of coming back and saying, how did these interventions go? What needs to be changed? How do we need to change our questionnaire? How do we need to change our outcomes? And so we were constantly modifying that until, and then after that, and we had some preliminary data that was showing some promising results, that we started to share the program. And I think in terms of the importance of, the data for us right now in Alberta, I'm just working on a report right now that is going to be going up to senior leadership in Alberta Health Services, looking at the value of virtual practice in home care, and also looking at providing more recreation therapy positions within home care across Alberta. And this document is and all the data is really going to guide that and hopefully get more recreation therapists positions within Alberta. So.
And I would also like to add too, in regards to our modification to the program, it really wasn't to the program. It was really just understanding the client's needs and having that one-to-one going into the kits actually, and actually pulling those things out that really do make an interest to the client, or successes that are going to happen with the client, and all the other activities that may not be less involved, or the client can't participate in it, putting it down on the back burner, but really focusing on those activities that they're going to be successful and really engage them in.
Thank you. We have another question here, and the person is wondering if you have any stats on the percentage of clients who are from your existing programs. So are your online programs being offered to your existing programs? And have you onboarded any new clients or anyone who was currently waiting for service?
Yeah, so this is something that we're currently really looking into in putting out our prioritization tool and making calls to clients to see if they're ready to return to day program, because the region appeal programs are hoping to open up beginning to early July. And we found at Sheridanville, and I can only speak to Sheridanville at this time, that 29 of our 49-ish registered folks are returning, saying yes to returning to on-site day programs. So we were like, wow, that's a huge number. That's fantastic. Some of them have requested to do both virtual and at home. And then we do have a number that, you know, they're just not ready yet to return to on-site, so they're going to stick with virtual. And some of our folks have advanced in their journey, their health journey. They're not able to return physically. They're not able to return, but will continue virtually. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, it shows that, you know, we've put this these recreation programs out there virtually, and they're being received, and people want to continue with them. So there's definite value as we see in our data as well.
We also see in Alberta that we have clients who have heard about us. We were actually on the news, our program, and we had people contacting us and just wanted referrals directly to go the distance. And so instead of how it traditionally looked into getting into day programs, home care was just getting bombarded with saying, I want to go the distance. And so we do take referrals, and we have been taking referrals from basic home care clients who have never been in an in-person program with us before, and they just have started with the virtual practice.
And if I could add too, we are accepting people from our wait list into our virtual recreation program. So as they await for on-site services, they have an option to attend our virtual recreation programs, and that's going really well. Presented a bit of a challenge. We don't know these people, so connecting with them was a little bit more challenging, but the team has done a great job. So, and this is something we hope to continue as well. Is, you know, admitting people into our virtual programs prior to our on-site.
We're very lucky and fortunate too with the Nucleus. It wasn't people that were already on service, but we also were able to action people that were on our wait list for service. So we actually had a very diverse group of people taking advantage of our pilot project. In fact, we actually also we had the kit also utilized as well with another funding, and we were able to distribute over 400 of these kits to our population through Nucleus, as well as our wait list as well.
Thank you. I think we'll try one more question in the chat box. So this is for all of our panelists. Have any programs planned for caregivers, especially the sandwich generation, as they are being overwhelmed with caregiving responsibilities and parenting responsibilities?
So I can speak to something that the Region of Peel has just done, and that was our caregiver retreat. I can't remember, it was about making them feel good. It was a feel-good day for them, and we did a virtual retreat that was very well received. We've also been doing virtual education for our caregivers for the past number of months. And so, yeah, treating, you know, the care and service that we were providing to them when we were on site, how do we do that virtually, and really trying to step into that world.
We've also been providing about 7 months of virtual caregiver support groups, peer supported.
Thank you all very much. As we're nearing, well, 2:25 now, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of our panelists for participating today and providing information on how they came together as a community service provider to work collaboratively to reach out to people in the community. As we've heard, community services have used these unprecedented times to re-engage old ideas so that community members remain informed. Providers have reached out across the country to explore new service models. And when the person couldn't come to the provider went to the person. So once again, thank you to all of our panelists and all of our participations for all of our participants for sharing some wonderful ideas and very interesting conversations towards the end. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to turn it back to Heidi to tie up today's session and present the speakers for next week. We hope you can all join us again next Monday afternoon. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you all of our panelists and everybody in attendance for joining us today. Again, please join us next week when we talk about building capacity. And again, it was a great mention, Allyson, on the caregiver retreat. One of our presentations next week will be building upon that. with the region of Peel. And we also have Bonnie Scott from Ontario Health, joined by Dr. Kevin Young and Alexis Wise to talk about another initiative that was happening in long-term care regarding technology. So we do really look forward to those presentations. And again, some great dialogue. There's been some excellent dialogue in the chat box as well. And I think, again, just to tie this back to everything that we've been hearing, all of our technology challenges that we experienced today is all part of this new virtual world and all part of the lessons that, you know, we've been experiencing. But again, great supporting of each other as we continue to build our community in this environment. So again, a huge thank you to everybody, and we look forward to seeing you all next week.